here today on the East Coast, and I was looking at pictures of people's snow in on the west. I was like, oh my gosh.
I was just biking in I'm at Whistler right now and just biking in the snow, and holy cow, yeah, got a big dump last night.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know I was looking at some friends of mine in Saskatchewan, some family, and they've got like, 4 feet of snow there. So
Yeah, Saskatchewan's kind of like one of those provinces, like, what for?
the big sky. It's the big sky.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Are you ready, Erica? Should we start?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
I think people can join automatically anyway, so if people join late, that's okay.
Do you want us to mute, Erica?
Pardon?
Like us to mute?
It's probably a good idea just for background noise. And then, yeah, Krista, your name says Erica. You might want to change your name.
That happened to us last time. That's funny.
Now listen, yeah, if you want to mute yourselves, but then if you have any questions throughout the presentation, just unmute yourself and wave your hand, and we'll keep an eye out. Or there's reactions down on that bottom line. And so if you just make yourself, like, just let us know that you will have something you want to say, because we're highly interruptible.
Yes, please interrupt if you guys have any questions, or we've sparked some deeper understanding that you would like to share. Please do interrupt away. So I'm just going to bring up our little PowerPoint presentation here. Just got to get it. All right. So this presentation is to give you all, I know Brad Pitt has taken Access before. So just to give you all, whether you've taken Access or not, just to give you, kind of introduce some of the key concepts for class. And if you feel like getting into an Access class, me and Erica both are offering online and in-person classes coming up. And also maybe just sparking some general curiosity about your own body-mind complex. So Access is a 10 to 15 minute a day routine, and it is a self-care routine. So this is mostly just about you. Erica, do you want to start with your?
Sure. Yes, I've been a BodyTalk Access trainer. That's what the BAT stands for a couple of years now, and a certified BodyTalk practitioner, which is the beginning part, for over 5 years now. And what if I go? Let me go chronologically. When I discovered BodyTalk, I was in a fair amount of emotional, mental pain, and after 2 sessions, I don't know if people have BodyTalk sessions, but what was happening just with a couple of experiences with this system was so profound to me that I stepped into BodyTalk Access class because I needed to understand what was happening. I didn't understand it intellectually. I didn't understand it based on any of my previous experience, and I was so curious, and I was so interested in what was actually happening that was having this like really profound effect inside of me, which led to me becoming a practitioner, and which led to me actually wanting to teach other people BodyTalk Access to help get that ball rolling, to help introduce these concepts and some ideas that, when I heard them, really answered a question that I didn't even understand was in my head about, like, how does this really all work, and what's actually going on in there. So I got really, really excited really quickly. And I feel like I've carried that excitement into being able to share that through BodyTalk Access class and my business. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would say everything what Erica said. Ditto. And for me, I found BodyTalk at a turning point time in my life. So I was in a career that I thought was a lifelong career, but I had a long list of symptoms. Very, and I would say that I was unaware of how scared I actually was. So I was very good at coping and managing in my life. And that took its toll, unbeknownst to me. I wasn't conscious of any of this, but it took its toll on me physically. So I had a lot of body pain. I had a lot of symptoms. I was, being treated, and BodyTalk kind of fell out of the sky, as it does with people, when you need it the most, or when you're ready for something on a deeper awareness of self to shift. So I started my journey in 2011, and I certified as a practitioner in 2013. And then it was a few years after I decided, like Erica, that I would like to teach, because I know the value of BodyTalk, and specifically of this program. This is Access. The value of Access is, wow, it's just something that keeps, it's something that just keeps on giving. And sometimes it's very subtle, and sometimes it's very drastic. But what we do know and what we do understand is that it's you for you. So we're here to promote you for you self-care today. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the founder of this brilliant system. His name is Dr. John Beltime. And he, as you can see here, he has a lot of studies under his belt. And he's literally gone through his life to all corners of the earth, seeking knowledge and understanding of the whole picture of the body-mind complex. So he developed the BodyTalk system, which is a system of holistic healthcare, which Erica and I, that's what we are certified in, is becoming a practitioner of the BodyTalk system. And he also saw that there was value in being able to offer BodyTalk in a very compact form, which is Access. So he takes 5 of the most brilliant techniques from the BodyTalk system, and he put them into a self-care routine. And we're going to get into that a little bit later.
Can I add something there?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and because what I find so profound about the BodyTalk system is, as you say, it's you for you, and Access is a way for you to really embrace how you're your own best resource.
Yes. Yeah, you are you. The healer is you guys, just so you know. You're your own best counselor, healer, doctor. You are full of your own medicine, and BodyTalk supports that. So that's what makes BodyTalk very unique, is that we are trained to just support what's already there.
Yeah, I feel like we get very caught up in needing people to do it for us, because we're feeling disempowered to do anything for ourselves when we don't understand what's happening. And BodyTalk actually works around that in a very beautiful way.
Yeah, it just helps you become conscious of your own medicine, which is beautiful. So John, just a quick, how he kind of, how this kind of came to light was, of course, through his own pain and his own illness. So he was diagnosed with Epstein-Barr virus, and this virus attacks the liver. So over time, the liver stops regenerating. John, for years, had a low-grade fever. So this guy was, he was in a substantial amount of pain for a long, long time. And this was part of what helped him seek out other modalities to help understand, what was happening and what he could do to treat himself or help himself. So eventually it came to a head where Western medicine, his doctors had told him that he had some very little time left and he should probably get his affairs in order. And somewhere along the way, he met a colleague of his who had been studying, I think, Aborigines in Australia. Is that right, Erica?
I think New Zealand.
New Zealand, okay. And what she was studying is how when these tribes people were sick, they would just tap on their head. And that would elicit some kind of physiological reaction where it would speedy the healing process for this tribe. So she was researching what was happening there. And he came across her and she said, hey, I've stumbled upon this in my research, and I seem to have this technique that seems to work really good on viruses. Would would you want to try? And of course, John said, for sure. So he went to her clinic, and at the time she was using blood, a blood sample, which by the way, we don't use at all anymore. But at the time, that's what she was using. So she drew some of John's blood and she placed his blood in his own navel and she tapped on his head. And that was that. It was shortly thereafter John spiked a fairly high-grade fever, and he had that high-grade fever for a few days. With all of his background, he knew that this was it was a healing fever. So he wasn't necessarily in danger. And he just kind of rode that fever out for a few days. And after that, like basically, that low-grade fever he'd had for years. So once the fever broke, he had no fever, and he actually started feeling better. So his symptoms of Epstein-Barr started dissipating. And eventually he did go back to his doctor to get blood work done, and they could no longer find the virus, the Epstein-Barr virus in his body. And they had also done tests to see that his liver had started regenerating. So that in and of itself was the first technique that led him to develop the entire BodyTalk system. And this technique is called body chemistry, and it's in the Access program. So it's a immune system stimulator, basically. So, and the rest is history. Hey, Erica? Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about John? If you are curious about him or you want to hear him lecture about BodyTalk, there's tons on YouTube, just so you know. So a little bit of history of BodyTalk. There is thousands of us certified BodyTalk practitioners across the world. Currently, there is 290 access trainers. So that is the BAT, like Erica and I. And there's current access students to date is almost 50,000. So another thing to point out is when you do take access, energetically, you guys will be tied into this 50,000 plus matrix of people who are doing their access every day. That's a lot of power. That's a lot of energy that's behind this little system we have here. So currently BodyTalk is available, I would say worldwide. Like the whole map should be lit up there, but 58 countries to be specific. BodyTalk doesn't really know any limitations or boundaries except for that of, I would say, the practitioner. So we are capable of doing sessions by distance all over the world, in any country, anytime, anywhere. It's quite a profound system with very little limitation. And so what is BodyTalk? It is a comprehensive system of non-invasive techniques that are designed to reestablish healthy communication or reset harmony within the entire body-mind complex. So comprehensive to me just means that it's whole. So we are looking at you and ourselves from this very holistic place, which means nothing is left out. We don't leave out. And if any of you have ever seen the BodyTalk chart, you can see very clearly that there's absolutely nothing that's left out there. So it allows us to be able to basically facilitate from any angle, if you will. BodyTalk is ridiculously simple. It's so simple that sometimes the mind has a hard time, like, oh, this should be harder, or it should take longer, or whatever. So it is very simple. It's highly effective because we are following what we call innate wisdom, which we're going to dive into here very, very quickly. And it's non-invasive, so you're fully clothed. You don't need to be in person. There's just gentle tapping and very gentle muscle checking that we're using. So, you know, there's no poking and prodding there physically. And it's very safe. So safe meaning that if I observe something that your innate wisdom is saying, hey, that is so not it, you are way off course, nothing happens. So it takes out the risk, if you will, of any damage being done to either the practitioner or the client, if you will. Is there anything you want to add to that, Erica?
No, that's okay. We'll talk about it, Nate.
Yeah, it's very safe. Okay, you're up, Erica.
Okay, so innate wisdom, is that a term anybody's heard before? New term? Yeah, this was really new to me. And I think I always had a sense of this because I was always really put off when you know, I'd have to put a Band-Aid on something or take a pill to solve a problem. Because I'm like, I just feel like I must be smarter than that. You know, I've got this body, it does all these things. And then I learned this term, innate wisdom. So here's a good way, what it is your internal compass. It's this internal part of you that is always striving towards wellness through wholeness. So if every part of me communicates, I feel good and I do good, and it's, you know, good, I know, is a very relative term. But you know, I'm on my path. I just know, I have that feeling of knowing I'm fulfilling my life. And I wanted to share with you an analogy for this because it's a concept that the mind doesn't always understand. So if anybody listens to music, or classical music in particular, think of an orchestra. It can be any band, but an orchestra, I think, works well for this analogy. And in an orchestra, you can see in this picture, there's so many different people. They're playing different instruments. There's different parts, there's different pieces. And there's probably 6 million things that could go wrong in this scenario to ruin the piece, right? Just think about this. You know, somebody didn't get enough sleep last night and they can't, you know, blow on their saxophone as well as they usually can. Or, you know, somebody's got a cold and their nose is stuffed up. Somebody's got the wrong sheet music. Somebody's reed breaks, you know, somebody hasn't emptied their spit valve in their trombone. There's so many things that can go wrong. And you know, when you hear a piece of music, you hear the mistakes, right? The mistakes really stand out. Now imagine that orchestra is playing everything perfectly. Every single person's communicating with every other single person. They're all following the roles they have. They're all doing their jobs. And you know, when you listen to a piece of music like that, you actually forget about time. You forget where you are and you forget how long it's been playing. You're just lost in it because it's so well coordinated. So that's our potential. And the part of us responsible for doing that, who keeps this orchestra on track? There's somebody, isn't there? There's the conductor. And our conductor is our innate wisdom. We have a part of us that's designed very specifically to keep all of our players playing together in perfect harmony. Now, I don't feel that way all the time. And so anything, from my perspective, anything I can do to tap into my internal conductor to help guide this orchestra that I am into perfect harmony, I'm going to take it. And so to me, that's what Access is. It's my way of connecting to my internal conductor. Now I'm going to take it a little bit bigger. So if I'm an orchestra with lots of different parts and players that need to communicate, there's also a universal conductor, right? Our interactions with each other aren't by accident. And so when we come together into a class, it's Innate is actually conducting the class as well. And Krista, I know you could probably speak to this too, that, you know, people come into a room never having met and then find all these ways that they have similarities and connections. And to me, this really speaks to how when we do this, you can do this routine for yourself, but you're connected to a whole, you're connected to a universal web and this universal conductor. And so when we do it for ourselves, we're also contributing to that web. you know, and that's not meant to feel like a loaded sense of responsibility. I just think it's a pretty cool thing to know that we're part of something much greater than just us, this one small orchestra.
Mhm. Well, I think it also takes some of the burden. You know, we quite often feel this heavy mental burden of who I think I am and what's proper and what I should be doing, what I should not be doing, and who I'm responsible for and who I'm not, right? And when you think about this internal universal conductor, that literally is guiding you to that class, in which that class you met this person who, like, you know, helped open a door for you, right? So that conductor is always, that universal conductor is always for you, you guys. It's always for you, right? It helps you manifest exactly who and what and where you need to be in life, right? So the burden of like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't be here. This helps me understand that I'm exactly where I need to be, actually, right?
Yeah, it's when you really get to trust your gut.
Yeah,
I feel like Access is a lot about learning how to trust your gut.
it is.
The gut actually knows.
For me, it was finding the gut first. And then trusting it. Yes.
Well, and you'll see too, in every technique, we're tapping on our gut. We're saying, hey, gut, what do you have to contribute to this situation? We want your input. That's cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to do a little exercise now. Okay. This is a body awareness exercise. And what we want to do is illustrate the power of our thoughts, the power of what's going on up here to affect the body. What else are we trying to do with this, Krista? This is
well, it's really just a demonstration of really being able, so going back to what we were discussing about how you are whole, right? So you have a physical layer, you've got a mental layer, you have an energetic layer, you have spiritual layer, right? You have all these layers that make up your orchestra. And so I think this exercise helps you connect. It helps you connect the layers, right? And instantly connect how you feel and the thoughts that are happening in your mind in this moment to how you're feeling and what you're experiencing in your body.
Okay. So I'd like you to just get comfortable in your seat. Hopefully you already are, but just sit back, get your feet on the floor if you can, and make yourself comfortable. And probably closing your eyes will be helpful here. And take a couple of nice deep breaths with your eyes closed. And as you're taking those breaths, just ride the breath right down into your body. And as you settle into your body, feeling your legs and your behind on the chair, maybe your back, you can feel how your arms and hands are resting. Just become aware of how you're holding your body. Is there any tension? Is there any pain? Is there a part of you that's very, very relaxed? Okay. So now that you have a sense of what's happening in your body, I want you to imagine a situation. Imagine the situation where you have an appointment and you're in your car and all of a sudden you come upon a traffic accident and traffic is backed up and not moving. And you need to be at your appointment in 5 minutes and there's no way you're going to get there on time. And you've been waiting for this appointment for 2 months already. And you know it's going to be another 2 months if you have to reschedule. And oh my gosh, why isn't traffic moving? What happened? When did this happen? How long is this going to take? Do I have the number of my appointment? Do I need to call them? And as you put yourself in that situation, just notice what happens in your body. Did your temperature change? Is there a part of you that's tense? Is your mind running away with a story? is there emotion that's rising within you? And once you've noticed, just let that scenario go. Nice deep breath, just to help you let that go. Tell the mind wasn't real, it's just pretending there. And just check in again, see where everything's settled. Pain, discomfort, temperature. And this time, I want you to imagine all of a sudden, the person you miss the most in the world right now walks through your door and gives you the biggest hug. And you're just in this very warm, loving embrace of somebody you've been wanting to hug for a long time now. And there's no rush. Maybe they say something and you hear their voice. Maybe you smell them. Maybe you get to look into their eyes. And now just check in with your body again. What has changed? Are you smiling? Is there warmth? Cold? Is there a part of your body that's more tense or relaxed? What's your heart doing? Has your heart rate increased? Decreased? Good, and now take a nice deep breath and you can let go of the embrace and just come back to center. Just noticing again what's happening here. So now imagine that you walk into a room, and as you walk into the room, there are people arguing, having a fight, yelling, screaming, on the verge of throwing things. Really upset, very angry. And just observe what happens in your body as you imagine this fight that you've just walked in on. Because now they're looking at you as you walk into the room. All eyes are on you. And there's a chance this anger will get directed to you. Okay, and then let go of that scenario. Nice deep breath. Just letting whatever sensations came into your body leave the body. And we're going to try one last scenario. I want you to imagine you're sitting down at a table. It's beautifully set. And somebody puts in front of you your very, very favorite meal in the whole entire world. The most favorite thing you could ever eat. Maybe it's not a meal, maybe it's dessert. And just gaze at that meal and smell it. And then you can use your hands or your knife and fork to take a bite and just feel it in your mouth. What's happening in your body as you take a bite of this very loved food? And as you swallow, what changes are happening in your body? Is there warmth? Are you smiling? Is there guilt? What emotions may be arising in this moment? And what does it do to your body? All right, so you can put your knife and fork down. Just come back to center. Come back to this body with a nice deep breath. Just again noticing with no influence. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And if anybody would like to share some of their experience, we'd love to hear about it. I know for me, my heart really raced when I thought about hugging somebody that I miss. And I didn't actually expect that. I didn't expect that, but my heart actually raced. It's like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, for me, it felt anytime we were in, I guess, a negative experience, you know, I just felt it was very hard for me to take a breath. So my breath felt very contracted and just very stuck. Yeah, so that was interesting. And the food.
That's where I felt it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And the food
Right
for
in the
me
back
was
of my
interesting.
throat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the food, I was drooling. Like I was starting to salivate a little bit.
Yeah, nice.
I think I think it's just this exercise is so neat in the way you think about how many thoughts or experiences you have in a day that are either positive or negative, however you want to look at that, right? And so how agile, flexible your actual body needs to be able to go from contraction to expansion, and what needs to happen inside you in that moment for all of that to prevail. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I think Brad Pitt, would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, when the confrontation one was going, I felt just tinges in different parts of my back, and yeah, there's some pain body stuff going on there or whatever it is, and yeah, it was pretty interesting. And then breathing it out, and then it's gone. So you know, like what's that? You know.
Yeah, well, it's also showing you, I think, the potential, right? So we just taught your body, we just brought this to your conscious awareness, how your body can hang on to something or let it go, and it can do it right now. Right now, right?
Yeah.
So, yes.
I like that.
I like it too. Anybody else want to share?
Well, I think too, it does speak to how, you know, so that conflict situation is a really good example, right? So I walk into a conflict and my body tenses, and the conflict might be over. I might leave the room, but my body stays tense. And I can retrain my body again to be that orchestra that maybe needs to get tense, right, in the heat of the moment of the song, and then when it's over, there's a letting go. It's a natural capability that I have in my body, and when we perceive a lot of stress in our lives, we don't always tap into that. So yeah, Krista, I think you're right. We just showed you that how easily it is to do that, and the Access program and the BodyTalk system really is about facilitating that part of you to be able to be that flexible and to move in and out of these things, because we're not saying you should only have positive experiences in life. I think we've had enough life to know that that's not always going to be the case, but we can move through them.
Yeah, I think Access actually helps set up this foundation so that you're more willing and able to move from contraction to expansion, and not necessarily need to stay in one or the other, right? Yeah, awesome.
Cool.
So Access, we just tapped into this, and Access helps you tap into this even further and more, maybe on a deeper, less superficial level. But it helps you disrupt these habitual patterns. So for the most part, I would say, you guys, there's a lot of fear-driven stuff happening in the mind, a lot that causes a lot of stress. So I would say, as a population, the number one problem that I see that is the biggest problem is stress, right? And it doesn't actually matter where the stress is coming from, it's stressful. And I think you might have also experienced just now in our little exercises how your mind actually thinks it's real. So your mind doesn't know that it's not real. To your mind, it's actually happening right now. Right? So there's a lot of stress, and that there's habitual stress patterns that kind of layer and layer and layer and layer. And Access helps disrupt these patterns. And it helps the conductor kind of come through and be able to reset and restore harmony.
And I would mention here too that for me, Access has had such a profound impact on mental health. Myself personally, and a lot of the people I work with are dealing with post-traumatic stress or depression or anxiety, which are patterns, right? Those are habitual patterns. And Krista, you mentioned it, like if there's a perceived stress, I actually think it's happening all the time. I believe it's happening in every moment. And Access disrupts that thought pattern of believing that the stress or that danger is present at all times. So the impact I see this have seen this have on mental health, and those patternings and those loops in the mind it's just really cool. And again, because the capacity is always inside of us.
Yes, we just have to be able to tune into it. I was just going to say too, and I know we have another slide for this, but it helps, Access helps not only restore communication, but it helps set you up so that there's less reactivity to life, right? So there's no magic pill. I think we've all figured that out. There's no magic pill to being able to stop life from happening, but there is a magic pill, if you will, in how teaching yourself, retraining yourself and your brain and your entire body mind complex that there's another option besides reaction, right? So I can react to life and the stress that I'm feeling and all of these things, or I can learn how to respond. And responding, for me, I feel like this is the biggest takeaway that I got out of Access for myself, is that I don't feel like any part of me actually knew that there was another option. Like response, which is like maybe a pause, some reflection, a sit back, rest, like do whatever you need to do and then respond, right? I don't think I was conscious that there was a choice. So that's one of my takeaways from Access. So the BodyTalk Access routine itself, what you will be taught over the course is 5 techniques. So, and they are in this order, and they're always in this order. The one technique that we're going to teach you that you can also teach anybody is cortices. So the first technique that you will be learning is cortices, which is about balancing the brain. And what John understands, Dr. John Veltheim understands, is that if you can't get the brain out of shock, the rest of the body mind, we can't ask the rest of the body mind to do anything else, right? So it's kind of like putting the cart before the horse. So we need to address the brain and balance the brain. And after that, we can address the nervous system. So switching is a technique that you'll be taught of how to address your nervous system. We know that the nervous system has two priorities. One is fight, flight, freeze, faint, which we're all very familiar with, I'm sure. And the other is rest and digest, which I know for me, when I came to this work, I was rarely ever there. My nervous system was pretty much at in adrenal exhaustion all the time. So this helps us balance the nervous system and, again, disrupt whatever current pattern is happening and help the nervous system push in the clutch and move over to rest and digest, so we're in parasympathetic more often. After we do that, we're going to teach you a technique called hydration. That helps your body utilize water. So this is not about how much water you drink or intake. It's about helping your body be able to utilize the water that you are intaking. Once we're nice and hydrated, we're calm, we're in rest and digest, we can then teach you the technique we were talking about that started the BodyTalk system, which is body chemistry. And this is about balancing your immune system. So stimulating the immune system on a daily basis helps your brain and your body, mind, and your immune system to be able to detect what's happening right now. And we know for sure that the brain, when it's in overwhelm, very quickly misses what's happening in the body. So the brain sometimes can't see that something's a problem because there's already too much happening. And then the icing on the cake is we'll be teaching you about reciprocals, and these are 17 pairs of structural, postural points in the body that the brain uses to scan to check to see if I'm aligned, if I'm in balance, and so much more. The reciprocals have a lot to do with energy balancing, so balancing the Wei Qi system as well. So that is the 5 techniques you'll learn in Access. And then also you'll be learning a fast aid protocol, which is a protocol that is quick and easy, and it's used for emergencies. So minor emergencies or major emergencies. Fast aid is really, really cool. And it's BodyTalk's answer to first aid, if you will. So it's our first aid go-to. Erica, do you have anything to add there?
Well, not a replacement for first aid, but
not a replacement. Yeah.
A complementary piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, to deal with the shock issue.
Yes.
Yeah. No, but are we going to, oh, we're not doing it yet. Like, are we doing core disease yet?
Not yet. It's coming.
There's endless potential for BodyTalk Access. Because it's designed for every single person to be able to use and do. The application of this is endless. You can see a list here. And of course, Krista and I, we call it a self-care tool. However, if somebody takes a class, they are certified as what we call a BodyTalk Access technician, which means we train you to perform this for other people. And it could be somebody in your home, in your family. I know when I took this, it was just for my family. I'm the mom. I wanted a way to keep my family healthy. But you are certified actually to use this with other people. And now with the situation we find ourselves in, we're training people to do it from a distance. So there is no touch necessary. So really the applications are quite broad. Yeah, it's something I use with my kids on a daily basis. I know I've trained coaches who use it with their sports teams. I also know a practitioner, a nurse who has used it with patients. So yeah, this one too, where medical care is limited, part of the IBF there is the International BodyTalk Foundation. So there's funding for trainers to train people in countries like, I know there's been lots of missions to the Philippines to train people where healthcare is very limited. And I always say, we don't have to go far. There's places in Canada where access to healthcare is very limited. And wouldn't it be amazing if a practice like this was introduced, so there was some more empowerment and some more feeling of participating in our own healthcare, even within a country with our healthcare system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think for me, I talk more about self-care because I feel like, you know, we can't really take care of others until we have taken care of our own selves and met my own needs and kind of dived into, you know, dived into my own consciousness, into my own body mind complex. So, yeah, I think the value is you for you, and then you for your family or friends or whoever that you can introduce this to and help. So here's some of the things we were talking about that me and Erica have noticed for ourselves over time, using Access on a daily basis. So for me, you know, maintenance, it's a way for me to maintain that harmony and my connection to myself, and of course that universal conductor. I said this before, but I came to this work years ago in a very heightened state of overwhelmed. So very quickly, you know, it helped me calm down, basically, and be able to look at my life from a very different perspective. Calmness, so having the feeling of a very calm brain and a calm mind tends to resound throughout your day-to-day activity. It's amazing when you have a calm brain, what happens. Good things happen. Our ability to respond to life. So we were talking about reaction versus response. And I feel, you know, I think when we do experience that calmness, and that leads into naturally, very organically, a more feeling of more open and willing, whether that's at work or at home or in a relationship, right? There's less charge, there might be less stress. And of course, communication and connection. And that again starts inside me and then tends to, you know, relationships outside of you start to change when you have this communication and connection inside you. And of course, being able to tune into your own innate, connecting your mind and body. And when we do all of these things, we become a lot more flexible. So flexibility mentally and emotionally equals physical flexibility. Anything to add there, Erica?
No, I don't know. That was a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. I think the only thing I would add is perspective, is that it opens up, you know, if I saw life this way, and a practice like this, using it on a daily basis really helped me do this and see how many different ways there are to experience life and see life when I kind of understand my own internal self, my own consciousness, my own, all the layers of me, instead of just thinking there's one or two, like really understanding the complexity of who I am. That's pretty cool.
Yes, very cool. Oh, here we are.
Now we're going to do it.
Now we're going to get into it. So we're going to teach you guys. Ah, yeah. Now we're going to get into teaching you guys cortices. So we're not going to teach you everything that you would get in class, but just a couple of the key points here. So cortices affects the entire brain. And so we've just pulled up the lobes of the brain if you're not familiar. So starting at the very back of the head is the occipital lobe, moving up, parietal lobe, and then there's the frontal lobes and the temporal lobes. So this technique essentially will affect all the reptilian brain, the limbic brain, and the cortices, all the lobes. And the cortex is this outer gray, so that the cortex, this is where cortices came from, the name, is the cortex is that outer gray layer of the brain that you're used to seeing pictures of.
So the theory of of why we do this is because whatever's happening physically or emotionally in the body is always happening first in the brain. And if we can address just the brain, we actually can address everything without needing to know exactly what's happening. So that to me is very key. So every time I do this technique for myself and create this opportunity for increased connection and communication, I could be addressing a sore knee. I could be addressing some repressed anger. I'm going to be addressing whatever my priority is by using this technique. Now, there's some pretty amazing things that can happen when I bring attention, because what we're going to do is use hand positions to bring attention to different parts of the brain. If there's decreased activity, whether that's blood supply, nerve communication, lymphatic movement, when I bring attention to it, my body can see it, and then the brain can correct it. It can change it in that moment. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And I don't have to consciously know what's changing in order for it to be effective.
Yeah, quite often you can actually feel, and maybe some of you will be able to tap into this as we do the technique, but you can sometimes actually feel something shifting as we bring attention to these areas. And we're just highlighting the area and saying, hey, if there's something to do there, do it. And if not, okay, move on, right? This technique is, yeah, this technique is about connecting the right and left hemisphere. So it's just very much about synchronizing communication, warming up, like Erica was saying, just warming up those areas of the brain that might not be being used. They might not be getting used. They might have been dormant, and these show up as cold spots on brain scans. So we're just improving this, lighting up the whole brain, getting the whole brain on board, nice and calm, connecting the right and left hemispheres, improving communication and any kind of physiological activity. Oh, all right. Well, let's do it then.
That's it. Okay. You want me to do this part? You want me to talk about it?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
All right, we're going to use both of your hands. And one hand, I want you to keep your fingers really nice and tight together. And this hand is going to be used to bring attention to different parts of your brain. And it's really important that this is attention, because the brain is going to do exactly what it needs to do when I put my hand on it. So you're going to place your hand right at the nape of your neck, where the bone of your skull meets your neck. And you can see it's crossing the midline. Oh, there you can see Krista. And why we do this, why is this attention important, is because we have squirrel brains. And I know you all know this. I can be like thinking about this part of my brain, but then I'm thinking about dinner, and then I'm thinking about an appointment, and right, squirrel brain. So we're using our hand to keep our focus here. And while we do that, we're going to use our other hand with a nice wide reach, and we're going to tap. And I'm going to tap on my head right over the center line. So I'm touching both the right and left hemispheres. And I take a nice deep breath. And in that moment, my brain has seen what's happening there, and it can make whatever change it needs to. Then I'm going to tap on the center of my heart for a nice deep breath. The heart is like an app update. It's going to update the operating system to that change. And then I'm going to tap on my gut, just on my belly, just really gently, for another nice deep breath. And the gut is going to process that change through its own perspective. Nice. Now we need to move to the next hand position. So you can see Krista just did a little wiggle to move her hand up to the next position. Still covering the midline. So another nice deep breath as I tap my head. A nice deep breath as I tap my chest. And another nice deep breath as I tap my gut. And then I'm moving my hand one position forward. Tapping again. Nice deep breath on my head. And I say deep, I don't mean long. They don't have to be long. On my chest, over my heart, and over my gut. And go into the next hand position. And see, here we are. I'm going to tap right on top of my hand, on top of my head. That's totally fine. You just want to make sure you're tapping on both hemispheres, right and left. Over the heart complex. And over the gut. Now last hand position, I'm going all the way down to my eyebrows. So yeah, I think everybody I can see their last hand positions going all the way to your eyebrows and tapping again, because my brain goes all the way down to my eyebrows. Yep, right in the center of my heart. And on my gut. And the only part of my brain I have not brought attention to are the sides, those parietal lobes. So I'm just holding my hands. There you go, you can see Krista. Right above my ears. Just for a couple of seconds. And then I need to do my tapping. And whatever hand wants to float off will float off. And then I'll do my nice deep breath. Heart. And gut. And I'm just going to put my hand back up, anchor that, and I'm done.
Yay.
Well, you all look like pros. Maybe you've done it before, I don't know. And that's the whole technique. So you can see it only takes a couple of minutes at most. I always say when you're moving your hand up, sometimes you just get a feeling you want to leave your hand for longer, or you'll forget how many breaths you've taken. Trust that instinct. It just means there's something happening under your hand that needs a little more time. So maybe you do 2 breath cycles, maybe you do 3. It's flexible that way. The important parts to remember are to systematically cover the midline of your head and a nice deep breath as you tap. And again, wide hand, focusing in on the heart and then the gut, which I know you can't see, but I'm just tapping like that on my gut, the same way I would on my head.
Yeah. Does anybody want to share if they feel, what do they feel right now? Sometimes we feel a little more awake.
I do this every day and every night. And
Nice.
At first I don't even know what the sensation was. And but there was a sensation, and now it centers me that no matter what else is going on in my life, somehow I feel that nothing really matters, because at this point I'm not going to die. Yeah. So sometimes that's all that I can muster, but that's good, right?
Yeah, that's great, Czar. Right? It's amazing what we could experience or even think about something completely different when your brain is calm. It's amazing what comes out of that. I'm always amazed myself. Yeah, so, and even, you know, there is some pretty amazing stories with cortices alone. Just facilitating your brain every day and bringing the brain out of, you know, disrupting those habits again and those thoughts. It's amazing what your entire body mind complex is capable of doing right now, instantaneously.
Yeah, I would quick story. Just with respect to anxiety again, so that the brain in shock, the brain overworking, overthinking, you know, going down roads it just doesn't need to go down. I had a friend and client who was experiencing this, and what was really interesting is that when she told me about this, she couldn't stop touching her head. She was like, all I can do is this. And I was like, whoa, wait a second, just let me show you something. She was literally trying to get this done without knowing it. And so I gave her the hand positions, like, here's how you just do this a lot. I'll see you tomorrow. Or I saw her a couple of days later, and when I saw her again, she's like, so that thing you showed me, I did that like 20 times for the last 2 days, which is a lot. I'm not saying do it 20 times. And she said, I feel calm. I'm like, oh, well, that's really nice. She's like, no, I've never felt calm. So just by doing this one technique, she was able to get her mind communicating in a whole different way. And then we were able to do full body talk work. But to me, and you know, she taught her brother-in-law, and when I saw her mom next, she was like, I don't know what you did, but
Thanks.
like, you know, family members were noticing. So I never underestimate this technique.
Me neither.
Never ever.
I
And you can't do it too much. You can't do it too much, and you can't do it at the wrong time. You can do it whenever you want.
Yeah, you can't OD on this. So use it at will. I have a story as well. I was teaching in Calgary, and I had a 13-year-old girl in my class who was there with her mom, and I was just getting started teaching cortices. So I taught them cortices and I got them practicing, and then I always ask, you know, does anybody want to share what they're experiencing? And this young gal puts her hand up and she's like, can I show you something? And I was like, sure. And I walk over to her, and she'd been taking notes all morning in class. And literally it looked like two different people had written these notes. So there was the notes that she had written, her handwriting before cortices, and the handwriting after cortices. And I was like, it was like it was, you know, night and day. It was crazy. And that was the first time I'd actually seen this technique like applied to something very physical like that, like handwriting. So the potential of facilitating your own brain is endless, you guys. Absolutely. So that's it for our presentation today. I have an online access class happening on November 21st and 22nd. So it's a Saturday and a Sunday. And Erica has an in-person class happening in Nova Scotia on November 22nd. So her class will be from 9 till 5. My class is from 9 to 12:30 each day. So I've broken it up. But you're getting the same material. You'll still get a manual.
Yeah, I'm thinking of running an online class in December. I figure that might be a good time to try online again.
Yeah. I'm going to do an in-person class in January. So
we're teaching these classes online is new for us and the IBA, so yeah, it's kind of exciting. I did want to mention running through cortices. We did it fairly fast, and Krista, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we both have videos on our websites.
We do.
That lead you through the process. So if you'd like to be led through the process again, either of our videos are very good for that and helpful. Mine, I think yours is too, Krista, has a bit more details about what you're learning or what you're doing. So check those out if you'd like to do that again with some instruction, which I think is helpful.
Does anybody have any questions? Comments?
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Krista, Erica, the classes that you just, I mean, I took a snapshot of it so I can sort of migrate to all this. Those are going to teach the other 4 methods for connecting to ourselves?
Yep. Yeah. So you'll learn the switching, hydration, body chemistry, and reciprocals are. So the rest of the access routine.
Okay, because now it's just my BodyTalk teacher who does it with me, right? So I've done some switching, but I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just executing what they're asking me to do. Right?
Yeah, and you know, you guys, the best way to help yourself. The one thing I noticed for me too, and probably Erica can attest to this, is the clients that I have who have taken access and use it regularly, they don't need me as often. Right? So it's really about self-empowerment. And then when you go to your practitioner, when you go and get a session, you're going to get your money's worth, because they are not, you know, I don't have to do access for you. So we can really get into some of those deeper stuff.
Yeah, well, when the mind's calmer, it's willing to go farther, faster.
Yes, that's a fact.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
Any other questions? And please feel free, any of you, to either contact Erica or myself if you have any questions. If you want to register and you want to know how to do that, please reach out to either of us.
Krista, I'm going to put my email address in the chat.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
That's where I am reachable if anybody's looking for me over on the East Coast.
Yeah, this is me.
Yeah, and yeah, so if a question arises, you know, in 10 minutes, an hour, or down the road, just let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
As you can tell, we get excited talking about this stuff.
It's exciting. What's not exciting about it? It's exciting. We want to share. Yeah. So please feel free to reach out. And if you guys have questions down the road, just let us know. I think there's also lots of valuable information directly on the IBA website. So that's the International BodyTalk Association. There's lots of good information on there about BodyTalk, the BodyTalk system, and about Access as well. So lots of websites, lots of exploring if you have any further questions.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Yes. Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much. That was great.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a great day, you guys, and feel free to do your courtesies a couple more times today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.